Evening, everybody, and welcome to Get in the Herd After Hours. I'm your host, Alex Bond. Get in the Herd is a recovery podcast brought to you by the McShin Foundation. I'm your host. I am a person in recovery from a substance use disorder, which means that for 15 months, I have not found the need to put any mood or mind altering substances in my body. And I am a full-time staff member here at the McShin Foundation and a contributive member to society. Now that I have, consistently worked on my addiction. I've got a couple really good buddies here on the podcast tonight. Sam and Jay. Sam and Jay are also alumni here from the McShin Foundation and have continued to, stay clean. And so we were just kind of going to do a little checkup and what life after McShin is like and how they've been dealing with COVID. So, Sam, how are you doing, buddy? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Sam. I am also an addict, a recovering addict. I have been clean for a little bit over 13 months. And excited to be on here.
Happy to have you, brother. And Jay, why don't you introduce yourself, my friend?
My name is Jay, and I'm an addict. I've been clean since June 9th of last year. I left McShin in August. Pretty much, one day at a time. Recovery has been crazy during COVID as far as catching meetings, especially in Virginia right now, where they're locking doors after 10 people. It's like, but because I'm also plugged in with outside stuff like VCAM and things like that, I'm still able to get some recovery-oriented interaction with other recovering addicts. So it's been a blessing.
No, that's great. And let's just dive in right there. So, Sam, I've had the fortune of, being to your house, and it is a bit of a hike, but you still drive into the city to meetings, even during COVID and all this stuff going on. So what's your program kind of looked like since this quarantine has happened? Because, we both got clean around September. I got clean in September of, I guess that'd be 2020 or 2019. And you got clean around October, November. So our clean time has been, yours too, Jay, has been pretty much surmised of COVID and this pandemic. So we got kind of a taste of a program pre-COVID, but I was kind of wondering what your programs look like now dealing with this pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, as soon as I left, right after, I may as well have just not even left. I was always down there constantly. I just wasn't sleeping there basically, and always going to meetings. And when COVID hit, I was doing the Zoom meetings for a while. Well, I don't know, a good amount of time, I guess. But then, then I was just going to every outside meeting that was available, which, some still are. My home group is, we were only on Zoom for maybe a month, and then we decided to open up because the church didn't mind. It's just kind of, I haven't been going to meetings nearly as much. It's been a while since I've been down at Hatcher. I don't even know how things are there. I don't know. Are meetings still open or what? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we've still been having at least a couple meetings a day. But as Jay was mentioning in his introduction, is once there's 25 people, that's it. They got a max capacity of 25 people. And then if more people come in, they can separate the meeting and put it on a different floor, essentially. So they've been spreading apart, and there's say 25 people on the first floor and then another 25 on the second floor, but that's pretty much it. And then even at that point, they're running 2 meetings concurrently, even though it's like the same meeting. They could be completely different meetings. So it's very interesting. For sure.
Yeah, no, actually, because I did go to Survivors there not that long ago, and I remember, it was like that. Well, it's funny because our home group is like that too. You know, in the clubhouse there is a separate room, so when we get past like 25 people, it usually doesn't get past that anyways. And like, one time I held a meeting in the smaller room next to it. But yeah, it works out. Haven't been going to as much lately as I probably should. But, I'm still just, working on my recovery, doing step work, taking up other things, I guess. I'm playing hockey a lot, spending time with my son. Actually, today I just, I went to, one of my an old friend I've known him like since like 4th grade, and he just opened up like a personal gym. He's like a personal trainer and nutrition coach. So I went there and like had a consultation with him, and it was awesome. We got to catch up, and I'm gonna start getting into fitness and all that stuff. So I mean, it's a lot of self-care, I guess, and as far as and then like about the podcast I listen to, that is a very big part. And actually around that there is a whole group of people that I actually still do Zoom meetings with, and it's just like staying connected as best you can. It's weird times, but we have to adapt to that.
Yeah, that's why I think something as simple as this, it's just kind of like a little Zoom call with all 3 of us. It just happens to be on a podcast. That's how I feel. Like I randomly, Sam, you and I keep up pretty consistently. And Jay, you just kind of like stumbled up in the parking lot. And I remember you asked to be on here a minute ago. And I was like, yo, let's do it. I'm a man of my word. And, you have consistently kind of to mirror some of the things Sam has said. Family is a very important part of your recovery. I know that religion is a super important part. So I see a lot of what your program looks like a little bit. And I was wondering if you could kind of like explain, how have you been doing, since it sounds like you have some personal experience with going to rooms where they're locking it after 10 people enter the room. So what do you do after that happens? If you could kind of enlighten us.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, that's when you get to experience the therapeutic value of one addict helping another without parallel, because I had a guy when I came to a meeting finally. I've only been to 3 in-person meetings since in September. And the man that knew me, seen the door was locked, and he got up, walked out, and let me go in. And it's that kind of love. Because when they found out I was back around in the area, because I had been here before in recovery, before I had went off the deep end one of the numerous times I did that, they embraced me. I mean, because ultimately they seen my internal struggle. Now, as far as the family playing a part in that, I have a wife and 5 kids, and so there's a lot of stress that, McShin can't really prepare me for. And it's one thing dealing with it when I'm high, because I'm kind of dealing with it proxy. It's like I'm dealing with it, but I'm not. So I have all the responsibility, but I default it to my wife. So it makes it on the outside look like I'm being a man, but really I'm not. It's crazy. But now, it has been some of the most trying times, because isolation is usually my first sign of jumping off a cliff. But I stay really, and it's crazy because it doesn't work for everybody. Like I've been out of the blue, man. I feel like my higher power's been putting people in place, and I've been running into old sponsors. I've been running into people that I've known outside the meetings and gas stations, and you know, they're just checking on me, or I get a message on Messenger from somebody, and you know, man, how you doing? Just checking on you. I hope everything's all right. Or a message in the morning. I mean, so out here it's tight knit. It's tight knit, and they're only doing 10, but it's intimate. So where I'm in Richmond, 150 people at a meeting, I might only see 4 here, but I know every one of them. I know their wives, I know their kids, and so they inquire a little bit more personal, and they know when I show up or if I'm lying, you know, if things really ain't all right. Because having a big family like this, man, and trying to be a leader, and trying to manage all the little compartmentalized areas of my life at the same time simultaneously, and keeping a level head and making decisions, because bruh, like, I mean, I'm grateful I went through the failures that I did, because I have become in touch with the limits. I know when I'm about to break now. I know, like, this last time was so special on how it happened, even before I went to McShin. How I ended up at a detox when I didn't want to, when probation couldn't make me because I couldn't piss dirty because they couldn't piss me. I mean, it was just a divine intervention. Like, that happened, and then the CSB funding my trip through McShin. That's a nice little price tag, and I mean, everything just started to fall in place, and all I had to do was put one foot in front of the other, and I pretty much kept it that simple. Just putting one foot in front of the other. My emotions, they'll run crazy. I'm actually on the last 3 days of my hepatitis C medication. You know, I'm seeing my life get restored back to me, even though I tried to destroy it so much. It's like I worked so hard to fuck up. I mean, to mess up everything that I worked hard for, and now, because I've seen how hard it was to get there and how easy it was to throw it away, I appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, that gratitude piece is something real, man. I mean, it's like every time I get blasted to the past in my head of like, man, work's so stressful, everyone's asking so much of me. It's like, yeah, people are asking things of me because I'm a reliable human being now. You know what I'm saying? That people can actually see that when they ask me to do something, I'll do it because my word has value to it now. It's not just like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. I'll show up when I show up. Like, and that's something that I take for granted all the time, especially now when I just feel like I'm swamped and my balance is kind of off. It's like, I got to sit back and think, like, these people are cared about me in their own little way. Maybe sometimes it's like, what can I do for you? But at other times it's like, being a trustworthy person is still uncomfortable for me a little bit. Is that something that you've experienced, Sam? Is it, do you still have these like flashes of self-doubt and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's crazy because that reminded me. I remember when I was really appreciating when I was finally getting time back with my son, and you know, and I was like the joy that was bringing me, and like you know, my sponsor said, you know, write that shit down, so then, you know, for later on when you're stressed out and you're like, damn man, like I just want to be alone. You look at that, you know, like, remember, you know, that's like, so yeah, gratitude, you know, yeah. So that really hit me when you said that.
Yeah, it's very insightful, Jay. And so, you know, post McShin. So how would you guys say, this is kind of open, take of it what both of y'all will, what were some of the things that you learned here that you apply in your daily life in recovery now? I say here, meaning, you know, in the McShin program, like what were some of the things that you learned that you learned how to apply?
Nothing. I didn't learn it. No, I guess like I mean accountability. Having that chore. Every day, like you're always, you have to like actually do something. Play a part. I know, yeah. I mean, that's one thing, and then like that huge, about like being able to like lean on people like that. So the therapeutic value. I mean, I guess that's like NA too, but honestly, one thing that I took away from McShin was NA. If it wasn't for McShin, I would have never even gotten introduced to NA, and like so. I mean, it's that connection. Like the opposite of addiction is connection. That human connection. It's crazy too. I was like, I was looking. I think you talked about that rat park experiment. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. The ones where, the ones that were isolated and alone were the ones that were more likely to die.
Yeah, yeah. Constantly drink the drug-laced water and then eventually die. But like if they're interacting with other people and that like have all that fun rat stuff in the tunnels, then they weren't as likely to use it as heavily. But yeah, so that you're just staying connected,
especially in this time, it's like even harder. So I think what I learned when I was in the program is even more important in today's day and age when there's so much chaos and negativity and you're being told to isolate for safety. It's like I can isolate and still connect. You know what I'm saying? I can be safe yet still cure my addiction slowly. Jay, what about you, buddy?
Yeah. I mean, life on life's terms, man. I mean,
I think he cut out a little bit. So while we're waiting on Jay, I did want to kind of go back to what Sam was saying about this podcast, Dopey. He's wearing a t-shirt of right now that is super sweet. It's a wonderful podcast that's also about recovery. Maybe a little more professional, a little more interview styles, but
not really.
I highly recommend
it. No, it is. I mean, it does. It was started. Actually, what they didn't want it to be a recovery podcast. They just wanted to be about funny war stories, and they still do have some of that. Like they say, like it's bringing the dopey. By telling like they have people that write and they tell some crazy stories, and everyone they interview. Like the famous person interview them, they talk about their recovery and, how it's changed their life and what made them stop. But they also, throw in a story from our past because, it's like, I mean, fuck the shame, like we have to laugh at our shame sometimes. And that took me a while. Like that podcast helped me with that because I remember feeling so much shame and guilt. Like that was the hardest thing to get over, like, why do I have to be an addict? Like, woe is me. Like, why do I have to have this affliction? But like now, I'm kind of like grateful for it. I see it actually can kind of be, I don't know, for lack of a better word, I guess a blessing. Cause like I've learned a lot of stuff. And like one thing, it said like that, when the host on the shows, it's like, we get to experience this whole better life, like from like going from like a shitty life to like something like not just a better life, like a life that we never even knew existed, and like I mean, so that's like a gift. Some people, like normal people, like don't get what we have, by like this fellowship and this like and everything that we learn just by working a program. Like some people that aren't, that aren't addicts, they just will like live this mediocre life and nothing will ever change, So it's kind of, it's a gift right there. And it's a way to stay positive.
Yeah, it's kind of like we got a little superpower. For sure, Sam. I think that's pretty Pretty good. Jay, before you got cut off, you were kind of talking about life on life's terms. If you wanted to keep diving into that.
Yeah. Well, I realized because I mean, out here, I'm in the construction field, so yeah, that's full of any and everything. I mean, I've had to change rides because I've seen people pulling out rigs and shooting coke in front of me. Uh, but the whole life on life terms thing was, you know, I can change me. I can't really focus too much on everybody else. I don't really try to preach. And as far as the program go right now, I have not found another sponsor, and I have not been working any steps. So I can't really speak on that aspect of it right now. But I do know that I do the next right thing, even if the next right thing ain't always the best right thing. And I stay clean. And so like I end up in these situations, right? And I see now that I am actually making mature decisions, like a Vivitrol shot. I'll promote that shit till the day I die, at least until somebody else is comfortable with, being able to live without it. I get it once a month, and so far it has been my saving grace. And I have been clean longer than 7 months before, but the quality and what I'm experiencing right now, I mean, brother, I went from 2 prison bags, nothing, lost everything, wife, kids, everything, to now I'm in a 3-bedroom home, my own, on 9 acres of land. This wasn't me. I don't deserve none of it. I work, I make a few dollars an hour. I don't even really make enough to afford this stuff. I mean, like, the way that God has blessed me, and then on top of that, my diaper bill is almost my rent. I mean, like, being able to just maintain that. However, it all brings you back to gratitude, man. I can't thank God enough for what He's done. I can't. And for McShin for taking the chance, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm a violent convicted felon. It was hard to get anybody to take a chance on it, especially to take those funds to be able to let me go to treatment, because it was one of 2 things: they were gonna send me to prison, or they was gonna take me there, man. And I'm just grateful that y'all took a chance on it. And now what I do is I live my life. I live my life in appreciation. So how do I do that? I do that every day, staying clean, and I want people to know that everything that everybody put into me wasn't in vain. Like, I didn't take lightly. Everything that everybody spoke to me, it's in here, and I'm living it. Maybe not always perfectly, but progress, not perfection.
No, that's beautiful, man. Like, you never really think about that like our experiences are what other people put inside of us, and what we do with them is then our choice. You know what I'm saying? It's not like everything in my head I came up with. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I try to tell people when I'm doing groups, is like, people are like, that was a good group, man. And I'm like, I'm just telling you what someone else told me, man. I didn't come up with any of this stuff. And that's the cool thing, is like, me.
So, bro,
I just articulating it in a way that's engaging, and I appreciate that. But I think that's what's cool about, me, you, Jay, and Sam, is that we all have kind of like 3 different approaches on life and recovery. I hear a lot of gratitude in your share, Jay, and it's very important. And Sam, I think you have a really positive perspective, because you've been in those moments. Like, your story shows a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Drive. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have a resiliency that is unmatched. You know what I'm saying? So it's just beautiful that we can have all 3 of us bringing this to the table, and you never know what's going to affect one other person. You know what I'm saying? So how have these, like, Sam, do you feel like you get painted or depicted a certain way being a person in recovery? Because again, you're wearing a T-shirt that pretty much says, and a cool looking T-shirt at that, but it pretty much says, I'm in recovery. do people kind of perceive you in a different light now, or is that a perception that you welcome?
I mean, I hope that they think that when they see this. Sometimes I worry about that, and they think the opposite when they see Dopey.
They're like, "Oh, this dude's a dope head."
Yeah. No, it's cool. Like, yeah, I've had like 2 people recognize it, and they're like, "Hell yeah, awesome, mom." But like, it's crazy. Like, you worry about that stigma. Like, it says, in the, I'm not sorry to be like a book thumper. I mean, I'm really not. But like our symbol where it says the last thing that we lose to freedom is, the stigma of being an addict. But a lot of people are saying, like, I'm very open about it. I'm pretty fucking proud of it, dude. Like, I do like wear that shit, but sorry for my language. But yeah, like I was talking about it tonight. I saw my friend's mom. Like, I was open about it, with him. They obviously, they knew what happened with my mom being in the neighborhood, and my dad was under the influence. And I'm just open, and I'm like, yeah, my wife, like, wanted to split up because, everything at the same time, my addiction, behavior, and, but now I'm in recovery, and I've been clean for over a year, and, it's okay. Like, I don't mind, if people look at me differently, because I don't think it's like negative, hopefully that they just, they think that the way you do, I don't know, that like, damn, this guy's overcome some shit, just like all of us,
Yeah, I would hope that people look at me differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, I actively am like, I hope you don't look at me the same, because I feel like I've grown, at least. That brings me to one of the things that I wrote before the show, and I want to ask both of y'all this. So I've kind of been thinking, especially now in today's climate, do you guys think that you have changed your life to suit your recovery, or you've had to change your recovery to kind of suit your life?
Well, I don't know. I try to practice the principles in all my affairs, and like Jay was saying, I really do the next right thing. Like, that's why you do deserve all that, all that stuff that you have, brother. Because, just like you said, you just keep doing the next right thing. And, giving back to others. That's like all these things that weren't important in my life. Like, before, I'm trying to make those things, important. And that's what I do for my recovery every day, even if like I don't pray, I'm not going to lie. I don't read the book every day. I don't go to meetings like 7 days a week, but just as long as I know that, I'm helping others, I am talking to the newcomer every now and then, or just helping anyone, in any way, that's,
Yeah.
Jay, what about you, brother?
Because I believe my life will speak a lot more. Like, so there's a lot of people that know me from before and after, and they've seen a lot of different stages in my life. And so when they don't see me compromising, they know there's a change. So I can't say that I've changed my life to suit my recovery, because I'm still in a lot of high risk situations a lot of times. For instance, 2-3 days after I left McShin, my wife picked up her friend, and she OD'd in her passenger side of her car. And my wife doesn't touch drugs, alcohol, or none of that. And if I wouldn't have been there to keep her breathing until the ambulance got there, she would have died in the back of that vehicle, and 2 kids would have been motherless. And so I've been in a lot of situations like that. So now I carry Narcan. So, and I think about, and I've been in a lot of those situations, but it makes me think about all the times that y'all have been, the house managers, the ex-house managers or whatever, have been in those situations. And it gives you a newfound appreciation for all the headaches that y'all put up with.
Oh yeah.
With that, I can't say I've altered my life other than, alcohol and substances do not cross that threshold. I pay the rent here. It's not happening there. I got control of that.
No, that's definitely fair, and I think it's a little bit of both, man. Like, I definitely know I wouldn't be working in recovery if it weren't for recovery, but I'm still into, watching TV and movies and hanging out and certain things that are from my old lifestyle. I like going to concerts when I can. But there's also like, I obviously don't frequent bars as much. Like I don't hang out with strangers until 4 a.m. anymore. Like there's just like certain things that accompany a lifestyle of using that just isn't necessarily fun anymore. It's not even that like I don't need this, I don't push this away. It's just like that sounds boring. Like and I'm so busy with life, especially since I had to do that mandatory minimum. So I still have like a to-do list of things that I said I wanted to do when I got out. So now I got, I'm fantasizing for like 2 weeks straight and I'm still knocking stuff off this list because I couldn't do it when I was like locked up or whatever. And so I don't know. It's just something that I think about. It's kind of the revolving door of how we change our life to recovery and recovery to our life. And, I think people who are open-minded and willing and honest and the big three, that's how a recovery should look like. That's how I think my recovery should life is kind of consistently evolving and changing. I think boredom and mundanity is insane. That's going to make me want to use is constant routine a lot of times. Jay, did you have something? Or Sam?
Well, actually, yeah, because like I was actually thinking in a way, like all that stuff that you do, like you were saying, concerts, watching TV, that almost you can kind of say that's stuff that you do for your recovery in a way. Yeah, it's like self-care. Like self-care can just be like getting your favorite ice cream and watching a TV show, like it's stuff that we have to do, for ourselves. And that, that's,
Well, that's something I struggle with probably more than anything because, in my addiction, my goal was to abuse my body the most that I could take without, killing myself or just trying to find that borderline. However, like I wouldn't appreciate it being clean without being sick. Like my health now, I look at it different. There's a new form of gratitude when I came down with a chronic illness and they told me that, yeah, your drug addiction is finally caught up to you. And now you got a blood condition that if you don't stop, this can happen.
Well,
And then, then my mortality becomes real because no matter how many times I overdosed, it didn't matter. I took it like, man, I got this. I'm like superhuman. I mean, I can do this much drugs and not die. But then when something like that hits you and I'm forced, it's kind of like I was forced to face it clean. I was forced to because it was either that or I was playing Russian roulette because that next one might be my last one. But I'm grateful. And like I used to say at every meeting, man, I consider it a privilege today to be clean because out of everybody that could or should, God chose me to be that way, man. And I'm grateful. That's what keeps me in my right mind. And I look at my kids every day and things like hearing them call me daddy. I remember a time when they couldn't recognize me. When you're looking at a spitting image of yourself and they can't recognize you, man, and they're running away from you and I got a chance to see my daughter before her mom started
oh no. He's on a hot streak.
Yeah, man. Really, speaks that gratitude, and I think that's awesome. Like he was saying, just like it's like there's that appreciation for things like that. Just reminded me, when I was first allowed to start driving with my son again, and I, just looking at him back there, it was like, man, like all the stuff that like you don't appreciate or we can't appreciate when we're in active addiction, and it's crazy, And he was talking about those, like, that consequence. Like, that's what makes us addicts, like we can OD and still keep going, like maybe stop for a second, but not stay stopped, until the consequence becomes so great. And that's what, that's why we have this disease, It's just, it reminds me of me, it's like something really terrible had to happen for me to finally, like plenty of bad stuff happened. I kept going, but yeah, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's like
And I'm gonna
it
be
took me
honest.
a while, but I became grateful for my pain, in a way.
Yeah, Jay.
McShin was like a safety net for me. McShin was like a safety net, and I really was nervous leaving because I had to leave kind of early at the drop of a hat. Everything, I mean, because it was a situation where the work just fell through, everything fell through, and here goes rent. It's due tomorrow, and I'm like, I got to make a move in a few days at my real house, and so when I jumped out there, it was like, man, if I fail, everybody's gonna be pointing in my head. This is what I'm thinking. Everybody's gonna be pointing their finger, like, yo, I told you so. And all I kept hearing was just, man, you might not be ready, man. You might not be ready. And so when I jumped out there, the first 3 days, I didn't show my face outside the house. I listened to Alice in Chains repeatedly and just tried to stay depressed so I wouldn't go nowhere. I didn't want to feel too good because if I did, that feeling it'll take me out there, make me want to chase a good time, and it's an illusion. And I know in my heart I really didn't want it no more, but it worked out. It worked out. I mean, I feel like I showed myself that I could do it. It wasn't so much of having faith in myself. It was just, well, I mean, I had to have some faith in myself because I'm insecure as hell, to be honest with you. I ain't gonna front. I don't believe I can make nothing. I mean, for the longest time, because I couldn't. I mean, for the longest time, I did nothing but I succeeded to fail. That's what my process was. And today, that's why I take it one day at a time. I don't want people expecting too much out of me, which is crazy because I carry a family on me. So every decision I make affects them directly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because now we got people that rely on us. Like, and I think that can be a motivating factor, but it can be a very scary thing too. It can cause a lot of fear when I'm trying to remember all these things that I got to do to make sure I don't let these other people down, but I also got to make sure that I do it to let myself down, because expectations are a major problem for me. I hold myself to a higher standard and than other people hold me to, I think. And to kind of circle back to what we were talking about, I think that's really where the self-care comes in, is the ability to sit back and what I'm hearing you say, Jay, is that you were kind of learning how to be comfortable with yourself again, and being able to find my identity is like a really important part of my recovery journey, is constantly being in touch with, I like this, I don't like this, I'm good at this, I'm not good at this, and just kind of like refiguring out who the hell I am. And that's where the self-care piece comes in. I'm not a proactive person. That's just not part of who I am. So like what I hear and kind of you saying, Jay, is that your self-care is being mindful of what you're putting in your body, how you're taking care of yourself and your health, because you've got a future to think about. You've got kids who need their dad, and making sure that you were healthy to provide for them in the future and stuff like that. I'm not a proactive person, so I'm more of like I need to take a step back before I snap right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to take care of myself for my personal sanity at this current point in time. Screw the future. I'm the type of person that doesn't eat until I'm starving. Like, that's just kind of like how I am. And I'm not a proactive person. Sam, I kind of think you fall a little bit in the middle in those things. Do you agree, or what do you think?
What you're saying, I guess, like knowing yourself, right? I guess I was kind of like getting that. And, like, I kind of feel like a part of, like when I hear freedom is, it's like loving myself, because I didn't fucking love myself earlier. I didn't know how to love other people, and like finding my place, like having a purpose, and that's like, I mean, two things that I can think of, are like being a dad. I know that's my prior, like, and helping other people. That's what I'm going to try to do, and knowing that, knowing what, like what I have to do, and knowing at the end of the day, I tried my best. So even if I fall short, I did my best. Yeah,
I can't and I try way more things than I would have in active addiction too. Like, I'll give golf a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will try to actually listen to people instead of just get my point across. I'll try to not care about winning or being right. Like, that has been a hard, arduous, yet necessary journey in my recovery, is being like, I was wrong. Like having to do a 4th step and an 8th and 9th step where I'm like, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. It's like so terrifying, but it is easily the best thing in my recovery. Jay, what's that, buddy?
In marriage, man, I had to do that tonight. That's the hardest thing in the world. I was right. I was right. But I'm sorry. That's hard. Like, and then I'm asking, because sometimes, I don't remember what I did, but it was just as simple as me being selfish and laying down while she was up with the kids after she worked all day and I didn't work. It is little things that I needed to be mindful of, because I fail to realize I'm not single anymore. Not as far as sleeping with other women, but as far as like some other my babies. To help her out with the kids, like waking up with her to help them get ready to go to daycare, or I stay up later usually to wash dishes because I got to take medicine to go to sleep after she cooks. That's my thing. Or I'll sleep up. Like, my house with 4 boys is always a wreck. It's always something. But I that's something that recovery is teaching me, though. It's teaching me not to be so selfish. The way to be selfish is to be selfless. It's weird. It's like a dichotomy. The way to be selfish is to be selfless. The way to get out of myself is to focus on somebody else. I have to, in order for me to get my mind off of all of my problems, I got to get out of myself and go focus on somebody else. And marriage is the perfect picture of being able to having to do that. So it's teaching me a lot along the way, man. I can't say that I was. It tests. It doesn't test. Like, I don't want to do. There's not really been times since I've left McShin that I thought getting high would have solved any problem that I've had, and I've had a few. But there's other self-destructive behaviors that come about now. So now the drugs are no longer the sole purpose of my problem. I still got all these other issues that I'm realizing that my wife happily points out on a daily basis. Like, happily points out. Yeah.
Yeah, because
but it's good. It's like an accountability part. She is. Yeah.
Now she can point out these problems.
And normally I'm hard-headed and stubborn.
Actually do something about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I love it, man. I love it, but I don't like girls.
I think that's fair. I also think that like recovery has taught me how to be a better communicator just throughout. I mean, I've always considered myself good at talking to people, but that's the problem is talking to people, not with them. Being able to be still and be present and gives people space to trust you enough to share how they're feeling with you. It's like an emotional breakthrough. Like I did that with my girlfriend. It was either last night or the night before. I can't remember, but it was like we ended up arguing about something. But then once we talked it out, I felt like this overwhelming sense of emotion because she like trusted me with how she was feeling and was like, this is stupid. And I was like, no, it's not. Like the fact that you shared it with me means that you trust me with your emotions. And that's like, it's a crazy feeling. Like I shouldn't be trusted with keys to this church, let alone someone else's thoughts and feelings. Like
people's medicine, right?
Yeah, look at this. I'm in a medicine office right now.
That's my point. I need to think of it like that. I've never thought of it like somebody trusts me enough because sometimes I don't appreciate the sacred ground she lets me in on. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like how you said you trust, like she trusted. I don't look at it like that. Sometimes when she's talking, I'm not here. I'm not listening to listen. I'm listening to respond, or listening to understand. I'm listening to respond. That's one of my addictive tendencies that's been hard for me to let die.
Mm-hmm. And it's not easy. And it took a lot of time to peel back all these layers in conversation. I mean, we talked for like an hour about something, and then we got to the root, and it was like so raw that it was like, I can't believe that we got to trust each other enough to like bear this. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's, I think, the problem that we have in this, digital era or whatever is we want to like find the problem, find the solution when there doesn't have to be a solution. I think everyone in the entire planet just wants to be heard. A lot of times it's like everyone has a voice and trying to figure out how to use it isn't the problem. I think sitting there and letting other people feel heard and understood is the solution. Because if I'm heard and understood, I could sit here and solve a lot of my own problems. You know what I'm saying? If I just keep thinking about it and talking it out loud and bouncing off someone else, we'll get to the root of the problem and the solution together. It doesn't have to be solve my problem for me or tell me that I'm right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I miss hearing that stuff at McShin. That's what I miss about McShin the most. Hearing stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like kind of like honesty. You and your girlfriend, you are both in recovery. You work in your program, right, Alex?
Yeah.
And so it's like that trust, like kind of like you got to get honest, to have that trust. You got to be able to. Everyone wants to be right, like being able to admit that, like So I think that definitely helps you guys too, But yeah, it's crazy, like this. Just like this girl that I've only been seeing for like a couple months is like trusting me with all this stuff. Like she's told me all this stuff like about like her past, like being in like a terrible relationship with an afflicted person who was not right to her. And she's like, man, like I've only like been open about that to like my family and you. Like it's like I don't know what it is about you that I feel like I can open up, and that's like it is. It's weird, like I wasn't that type of person before that people could just feel like they could like open up and trust, and it's like it's crazy. It's like it's almost like psychedelic, like a little bit. It's like what happened here, man? Like
It is, and I think part of it is because now that we've seen recovery and seen that it can like help other people, even just the principles of recovery, take the substance use out of it. Like it's that I think now you genuinely care, or at least me.
Yeah.
Like now I actually like care about what you're saying. It's not like listen to respond, warfare, game, problem solving skill. It's like I genuinely care about why you feel this way. And I want to understand you more. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's just fascinating, and it's part of this class that I took that's learned this is just being able to hold a space for someone to share. I mean, that's why I think in meetings people say thank you for sharing. It's not like thank you for talking, thank you for speaking. It's like thank you for sharing a little bit of yourself with me, because now I can take a little bit of you with me everywhere that I go. That was kind of what we were talking about earlier, Jay.
That's deep. Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate sharing you guys with me, man. I mean, you guys have been an important part of my journey. I remember both of the days that y'all got here, and it's just beautiful that I got to run into you the other day, Jay. And I've always appreciated your honesty and rawness and where you're at. It never feels fake or like you're putting on airs for someone. I mean, you've always been really upfront about what you're struggling on and what you're doing well at, and it's really appreciated. And Sam, you're my boy, man. I get to see you grow into a beautiful father, and it's just really beautiful to watch. And I'm very thankful to have you two in my life, man. Thank you.
Man, I love you, dude.
Yeah, I love you guys. Jay, do you have any final thoughts before we close out here? I love you guys.
But I would just like to thank you for having me on, man. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm really grateful for what McShin did for me, and where I'm at now is in part because I came across and was fed by the people there, and that includes you. And so I'm grateful for that.
I'm grateful for your continuous
I didn't
gratitude.
get here by myself. Yeah, I'm not no self-made nothing.
No, but you put in the work. This is a simple program for stupid people sometimes. So you continuously put in the work and share it with other people and pay it forward. So keep it up, buddy. Thank you. Sam, any final thoughts?
Yeah, man, thank you for having me. And I could lie, I was a little nervous to do this, but it wasn't so bad. And yeah, it was great talking to y'all, and this was good for my soul. I feel good right now. My heart is happy. Yeah, so I appreciate you doing this, Alex. I think this is a really cool thing, and keep it up, buddy.
I love you guys. I absolutely love you guys. Happy to have you on. Shout out to our producer, Todd. We love you, man. Thanks to all watching, and this has been Getting the Herd. Peace out.
Toodles.
Here at McShin, we believe in the McShin way, which is authentic recovery support service providers, people with lived experience, bringing that experience to those who need that lived experience in recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in many things to support our mission. We believe in women empowerment.
What I love most about what we believe here at McShin is we believe in the authenticity of the peer-to-peer approach.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in giving people opportunity.
Here at McShin, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
At the McShin Foundation, we believe in helping people reach their full potential.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in multiple pathways to recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in placing principles before personalities to help spread hope.
Here at McShin, we believe that recovery is possible and that any person seeking recovery can become a more acceptable, responsible, and productive member of society.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in self-discovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in saving lives and offering second chances.
Here at McShin, we believe you can do this.
Here at McShin Foundation, we believe that we can only keep what we have by giving away, which is why we continue to help others like us seek and find recovery.
Tired of waiting, lost while I'm sitting at home. Dream of a new destination, lust for something unknown. Oh, you better leave it alone. And you know I'd rather get up and go. How long can I lie around waiting for it? Sometimes you gotta walk out the door. No limits, no ceiling, no crown. No pressure gonna hold me down. No stop until I break every rule. No limits to what I can do. No, well, it's too far away. No border gonna stand in my way. No wall that I can't break through. No limits to what I can do. Drive on the wrong side, just live while I can. Stay here in the moment, 'cause I'm free to be my own man. No limits, no ceiling, no crown. No pressure gonna hold me down. No stop until I break every rule. No limits to what I can do. No, well, it's too far away. No border gonna stand in my way. No wall that I can't break through. No limits to what I can do. Sometimes you got to get up and go. No limits, no ceiling, no crown. No pressure gonna hold me down. No stop until I break every rule. No limits to what I can do. No, well, it's too far away. No border gonna stand in my way. No wall that I can't break through.